Oh, chilly out here in the car as New England turns progressively colder as November moves on. I thought I would talk today about something that is really under discussed and underappreciated when it comes to spirituality in general, and particularly the subject that we so often talk about, which is manifesting a better life, feeling better inwardly, and by feeling better more of the time, um, seeing your external world change as well, which is often a much less dramatic process than people online make it seem like. In my opinion, if you work on yourself, if you do inner work, and you do it, diligently, if you make it a practice to really work on noticing what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you're imagining, and work on feeling more okay in the present moment with like the passing thoughts and feelings that come up for you. Just by doing that, you start to feel better more of the time. You start to feel more fulfilled more of the time. And because of that, naturally, your external world starts to change. It doesn't necessarily have to be some extravagant demonstration in the external world in order to prove that these principles work for you. That's like why I shared last video about like some of my experiences over the last decade. Most of my manifesting experiences are very subtle and gradual. Sometimes dramatic things happen, but they are rare compared to just the subtle positive things that happen and kind of build up by working on feeling more okay with where you're at right now more of the time. And what I thought we could focus upon briefly today is this idea that there's a certain way to do things, and that feeling better and manifesting changes in your life is gonna only happen by doing things in a certain way. Obviously, or I hope it's obvious at least. Obviously, I don't believe that at all, and I think one of the real values of this channel and people talking about it in this more open way that we try to do here, and the value of getting coaching, quite frankly, is to see that what you are doing is good, and that your experience in terms of feeling better, more accepting of the moment, and seeing that change your life is going to be a highly subjective and basically idiosyncratic experience. It's not going to be this dogmatic, you do this and this happens, at least for most of us. There are formulas we can follow, there are techniques we can follow, but I think we almost always have to get beyond those formulas and techniques to really embody this stuff more in our day-to-day life, in our mundane life. And, again, that's why, like, if you talk to somebody about this in a down-to-earth way, where we're not trying to be theoretical, but trying to be practical and pragmatic, like in a coaching setting, or even just talking to a friend who you know well, who's into this stuff and is talking to you just as a friend and not as some theoretical teacher. There's more openness, and there's more flexibility, there's more fluidity, there's more of the ability to trust yourself, or to be talking to someone and being like, I like to do it this way sometimes, I like to do it that way sometimes, I don't know really which way to go, and to have the friend or coach or whoever be like, what, that's fine, I think whatever you're doing is working for you, because it's about these ideas working for you. Because you're gonna hear, especially if you're on a social media platform like YouTube, different advice that directly contradicts each other. And they're both right. Both approaches are right. We made a video a while back about Vadim Zaylin's got that great thing in reality transurfing talking about variability and how variability is the way of life. And people make mistakes thinking that their way is the only way, while really there's so many different ways to succeed and to get more of what you want in your life. And that people fight over their way, their method, their technique. And this is really just not necessary, especially when it comes to like, quote unquote, spiritual stuff, This is what, we see this with religions all the time. Religions fighting each other over how it's supposed to be done, how you're supposed to be religious, or, how you're supposed to be spiritual. I mean, it's so silly. It misses the entire point, in my opinion. So dogmatism's not where it's at when it comes to this stuff at all. And, just to give you really like a good example, because we see it all the time, is like there are teachers in like the law of attraction, law of assumption space, and in the self-improvement space that are like, you have to be very specific to get what you want. Very specific. And like in, we were talking about It Works the other day, RHJ in that, he says you want to be as specific as possible with what you want to get it. That's how you get it. And there's so many teachers who say that. Be super specific. And then there are other teachers who are like, be general. You can't know exactly what you want. Like Joel Goldsmith says, you don't know. Only God knows. You don't know. Give up and give to God. Give it over to God. God will figure it out. You cannot know. Or Coué, who says, the more general you are, generally speaking, the more effective you'll be. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. That was intentionally general. So what is it? Do you have to be very specific, or do you have to be general? There is no one right answer. It's going to depend on your sensibility. And it's going to depend on your sensibility today. Because you might feel differently about it next week or next month, let alone next year or a few years from now. So the formula itself, the technique itself, being specific or being general it's not cut and dry. And that's just an example. There's so many things like this when it comes to feeling better. And, hopefully seeing better external results as a result of feeling better. And, that's subtlety and nuance and what I think is really interesting to talk about and explore. And that's missed a lot of the time. With all the theory and all the people telling you what to do, this is what you do. Don't do this, do this. I don't think it's like that. At least in my experiences and working with people, it's not like that. Have faith in what seems to be working for you and what seems right. Intuitively, what seems to be working right today for you. What the next step feels correct. What step feels right for you right now. The next thing to do. And if you don't know, you can always wait. You can wait. You can wait and trust in waiting. Or you can be like, well, I don't know what to do next. I'm going to try to follow a formula, like It Works, for instance, or something like that. I'm going to try a formula, or robotically affirm. I'm going to try that because that might do something and it might tell me what to do next, might make it clear. But again, it's not a set thing. It's not dogmatic. It's not black and white. Embrace the gray. Because what's transcends the gray is all good. And that's what we can always fall back on. That is trusting in the universe, trusting in God, whatever you want to call it. And that's very, very helpful to have as your as your foundation, knowing that you can trust in something. And again, if you feel like you can't trust in something, well, then just play with different techniques or formulas until something clicks and you begin to trust in something. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, or if you're new to this channel and would like a free complimentary 15-minute consultation with me, or if you're not new to this channel and would like one-on-one coaching, I can be reached at radicalcounselor.com.